Kia ora. After some years of teasing and waiting and wondering if LEGO will ever do the unthinkable and give us LEGO No Way Home sets that are actually based on the movie, 2023 delivered with a set that features almost everything that we wanted from a Spider-Man No Way Home set. Was it worth the wait? Does the set live up to the expectations? In short, for me, no. This will likely be my biggest disappointment from LEGO this year, but hey, I still bought it, so who's the real winner here? This is set 76261, Spider-Man Final Battle, based on the film Spider-Man No Way Home, which released close to 2 years ago now. This retails for 180 NZD, and it contains 900 pieces and 9 minifigures, and a good few of these figures are exclusive, though who knows for how long. I've reported here before wondering why this took so long, and then I reported on the rumor that we were going to be getting this set early on in the year. I didn't cover the initial reveal because hey, look at that, the set releases like a month or two after it was revealed, and I bought it anyway, so here we are. I've got a lot to say, lots of positives and lots of negatives, let's get into it. This is the Statue of Liberty head bust in all of its glory. When the news broke that this would be just the head, not a full-fledged statue, I wasn't mad. I like this idea a lot actually, especially because in my head I just assumed that it would be built like a display, and lo and behold, this set almost functions like those 18+ dioramas. The head sits on a construction site that sits around this black round base. It makes for a nice little scene, though it is quite small and it's not as intricate as I would personally like for $180. There's some nice displayability features here, but it feels like it's lacking a little. The head is connected onto the display by one of those big rotating parts. The head doesn't spin though, so I think this was just used to get a good angle, but you can detach it. This isn't necessarily a feature though, it's just this is how you end up building that scene. You build the ground first and then the statue's head, and then you add all of that scaffolding around afterwards. Construction sites and Spider-Man go hand in hand for me, and that's an idea that LEGO have only capitalized on twice now, if you could believe it. I really like this little construction site here. It's not as good as that 2015 construction site, but it does make a fun detailed display piece nonetheless. You can see that there are some parts lying around that represent sand. This is Sandman's only contribution towards this scene. A few key details about the set as well. We have this camera here that's been webbed to a pole. One of the Peters must be snapping pics for work purposes. There are these two generators that attach to the poles. They just clip on and they float there actually. They were pretty fun to put together, and they have this nice little connector that you can see at the end here, but more on that in a second. The Sandman antidote is included as a little flashlight build with a red stud, so in this set it's supposed to be a little vial. It's attached to this big rubber webbing piece that's actually new to me. I've never seen this before and it's really cool. It just has these two hooks to connect into, and then it can hang on walls. I have it set up so that it can catch a minifigure here. The set includes these clear poles with Technic connectors that attach to those generators that I was talking about earlier. The set has a few different points of interest for connecting these around. There are 3 poles included in the set, and I'd say maybe 7 or more areas to connect them to, which is great. It gives you a nice bit of variety. Ensemble sets like this really desire having multiple display options, and this set does give you plenty, easy to swap around as well. Up top at the highest peak of the scaffolding is Doctor Strange's portal, which is attached the same way most of the extras in the set are, just to a pole using that little claw piece. This is the head build for Lady Liberty. I'm told that it's a very similar design to the LEGO Movie 2 Apocalypseburg one that released some years ago. That's decent enough recycling in my eyes. Looked great there, so why not just reuse it? Lady Liberty has some clever choices of some building techniques, like hot dogs for her eyebrows and a curvature build for that chin down there. Some sticker designs for the extra details around her head. Her crown is a bit of a weird build. I don't know how they do it in the Apocalypseburg set, but the top just isn't really connected to those lower parts. It just gives the illusion that it is. It's quite fragile to actually pick up, and I think the design just doesn't quite work that well. These flaps opening does give you a peek inside though, so maybe it is an intentional design. Her locks of hair are held in place quite nicely. Up at the top, behind the crown, are some more connectors for some flight poles. Her head can open up to reveal a Sandman reference. It's his hand appearing in LEGO, and located by piles of sand inside the head as well. There's a sticker design on the roof that can match the front. The back of the head features the last gimmick here, which is another Doctor Strange portal that leads to the Sanctum. It's a really cool sticker because it's the exact design of the Sanctum set. Excellent details there. 2 portals being included is a little odd for me though. Which one did Doctor Strange arrive in, and what's the purpose of the other one? Connecting the head back onto the set is a little tricky. That's why all of the construction stuff is built last, but you can see that when it's back connected again, the head is pretty secure in place. It won't actually be rotating around. And here are your 9 minifigures that will single-handedly be selling this set alone. We have some rehashes, some remakes, and some never before seen minifigures, at least technically, never before seen in a set, how about that? First up is the Tom Holland Spider-Man. This is the same figure that was included from the Sanctum in 2021. He is a nice minifigure overall and includes an interchangeable head and hair, which I have displayed on for all of the Spider-Men for an easy viewing. I like him a lot, which means something because I don't really like that suit in the movie at all. The dual molding and leg printing goes a long way, and unfortunately he is the only Spider-Man here that gets to receive that kind of special treatment. More on that soon. Double-sided face, it's the standard Peter Parker Ant-Man face. It's good, I just think I'm a little over it being used for Tom Holland here. He's pretty expressive in this movie specifically, so I would have liked to have seen a bit more effort put into him here, but I guess this works. Here he is with his mask on. I think it's a standard MCU Spidey head at this point. This is Zendaya's MJ, who has appeared a few times in LEGO sets now. I'll go over the gripes of her and Ned together. It's a solid figure overall with a nice hairpiece, good expressions used as well, but let's get into those negatives of this figure, which greatly outweigh the positives. That headpiece has been used on her 3 times now, the same headpiece that is used for Maguire and Amber Grant from the Daily Bugle. This is Zendaya we're talking about here. I would think that she would get her own unique expression by now at least. Her hairpiece has also been overused and it's also inaccurate to her appearance in the movies. My frustration with this is that LEGO were already criticized for this figure 2 years ago with that Sanctum set. So to not change it is insane to me. She's also wearing a torso piece that is completely different from her outfit from the actual scene, which leads us to Ned. Ned is a figure that I do really like because I didn't get that minifig pack that included him all those years ago, so this is a first time appearance for me. He's also a figure that I advocated needed to be in Wong's place in that Sanctum set from 2021. I have him here with the Doctor Strange cape and the cube that Doctor Strange uses to bring all of the Spideys into their world. Ned's an honorary wizard, so he gets to hold it for this review. It's a Minecraft head with 5 stickers. Yeah, count them, 5 stickers. It was very annoying to put together. Ned also has a double-sided head, and I really like his red Letterman jacket, but similar to MJ, it's not accurate to the scene. I don't recall him ever wearing a red Letterman jacket, so why was this piece chosen? Next we have Doctor Strange. He went from being one of my favorite LEGO Marvel superhero figures to becoming quite a hassle for me now. 4 times that this figure has been re-released in just 2 years. Every set including this minifigure is still currently available on shelves. Think about that for a second. Another total crap entry because this figure is based on his Multiverse of Madness appearance, a movie that released after No Way Home in which he wears his regular outfit. They re-released this figure in this set because this guy is in that cheap polybag. He's a really great figure outside of the set though. Here, his inclusion is crap. It's a lazy inclusion because it's just flatly wrong. I've said all I have to say about him in other videos on this channel. This would have been an excellent opportunity to give us something fresh for him, like a new expression. Then I'd be a bit more forgiving about the lazy inclusion. Now onto the actually impressive or divisive minifigures. This is Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man. For my money, peak Spider-Man and the one superhero from movies that I've really wanted as a minifigure for years now. This was one of the top 2 reasons for me buying this set. Viewers may or may not be aware, LEGO did make a San Diego Comic-Con version of this figure, an idiotic decision that led to him being incredibly expensive. Now bullshit prices on plastic aside, it took them far too long to finally release a remake of this figure in an easy to access set. Licensing rights and issues I totally understand. I just wish we had something back in 2014 for the release of the movie though. Finally, he's here, and honestly, he is really good. His torso details are probably my favorite part here. He's a much more slender Spider-Man, so his logo is skinnier in design, and I think it's a pretty good translation. A skinnier spider on the torso is what was kind of a dead giveaway with people's mocks and customs. No leg printing is a bummer though. It is dual molding, so it looks good from afar, but I need to see some spider details on those legs eventually. His arms too also needed some changing. He has more red than blue in that design. LEGO just decided to go with solid blue. Spoilers, but Tobey Maguire actually features the exact same issues as this figure. The outfits are quite similar, so honestly, I think it would have really benefited from LEGO making it more accurate, giving them the legs and the correct arms, since they would be able to reuse those parts twice in the same set. Andrew Garfield here uses Jim's head from The Office. It's an okay likeness actually, those expressions do match. I just wish that LEGO saw the opportunity of the 3 Spider-Men like I see it and took it a bit more seriously. They each should have had reworks from the ground up in my opinion and been released as their definitive perfect versions. He uses Kramer's hair, which I do like. A new hairpiece would have been a bit more suitable for me, but this does work. He is my favorite minifigure of the bunch, and I think he's great despite those complaints. I can't tell if his mask is a new head or not. It looks to be new. I would have personally liked to have seen his eyes on a bit more of an angle personally. This is Electro, the third time that we're seeing this character and the second time that it's actually been Jamie Foxx. Even his first figure is basically a remake of the ultimate Electro figure. Basically what I'm saying is that LEGO really needs to hurry it up with Electro for God's sake and give us a comic one already. Here's a really good inclusion. He uses that hairpiece that I really like and I want to see some more of. Solid torso detailings that even have his arc reactor. His legs are that really old piece that just needs to be long retired by now. And he has a neck brace that connects his lightning accessories. Removing that shows that he has some good back details. And now we move on to the straight up remakes of the set and the ones that we've been asking for years now. This is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He first appeared in sets for the first and second movie in the early 2000s. Both movie-based sets use a different Spider-Man figure with differing shades of blue. LEGO lost the license for that third movie and we've been patiently waiting ever since for some remakes. I did not think that it would take 2 reboots and a crossover movie to finally get him, Molina and Dafoe, but here we are. His torso feels like it's been ripped right out of the past, but it definitely has some changes and improvements, trust me. Like I said, same issues as Garfield. Those arms and legs are a sour point for me because I just expect a bit better from LEGO 20 plus years after the first edition. But I do love his distinct silver coloring for the webbing, and the spider designs feel very nostalgic for me as well. In all of those areas, he is a pretty decent remake of a figure that I love, but let's talk about the head and hair. Awful. It's a really poor translation for who is probably going to be this set's seller. People are very blinded by their love of Raimi's movies and they just want a new Tobey figure, so this might be overlooked for some people. I would have preferred that we had no extra head and hair at all if this is the result, because I'm just gonna have to change it anyway. It's bad enough that this Harrison Ford head was used for Alden Ehrenreich, but now it's also supposed to be a late 40s Tobey Maguire. It's really brought the set down for me here. This head is not even close to Tobey Maguire. They shouldn't have bothered. Here are your 3 Spider-Man figures all together though. It's a great bunch and it's cool to have one set that gives us what we wanted, but my feelings are very conflicted on some of those likeness issues. I did mention that he was a remake, so here he is compared to his past selves from the first and second movies sets. You can see that the colors changed from a bright blue to a dark blue one, and they decided to stick with that for the remake. The new one has a bit more definition on his details on his torso. His hip printing appears on the torso, not the actual hip piece. His mask is the clear winner for key difference here. The eyes are significantly smaller than the previous ones. I'm not really sure if I like that or not. His eyes are quite big on his mask, like the Garfield headpiece, so I think it would have benefited from that change. This is Doc Ock, who was personally my most anticipated remake figure. The Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2 was one of my favorite minifigures as a kid, and it's the oldest figure that I actually have. I got this when it released, whereas I got the Spider-Man 1 sets a little bit later on in life. He has some amazing improvements and some pretty weak elements as well. Seems to follow the same pattern as the other figures released in the set. I do like his expression, but it's a little bit goofy. I don't feel he was ever really this cheerful in the movie. The printing on his torso is great and the jacket carries over to the legs, but those colors, yeah, let's talk about these colors. It's possible that this is a Marvel Studios issue more so than a LEGO issue, but in the movie they make it very clear that all of these characters are pulled straight from their worlds, so he should literally just be pulled from Spider-Man 2, in which he wears a green jacket. Yet he appears to have a different shade of green throughout the entirety of No Way Home. People criticized this design choice at the time. There's some really weird discrepancies with the movie's logic on how things work, and if you start to think about it hard enough, then it becomes really frustrating. So I don't know, it definitely isn't the same green from Spider-Man 2, but I also wouldn't say that it's grey. LEGO opted out for a grey coloring, and that's what we've got. And I'm left looking at a design that I don't really register. The hairpiece is another complete total strikeout on LEGO's part. This might have been the weakest one yet. Why does Maguire and Molina share the same hairpiece? Who decided on this? Improvements time though, the arms that he uses are incredible. He's had his fair share of remakes over the years actually, and it feels like LEGO always try to do something a little bit different each time with his arms. I think the design that nailed it last time for me was the Doc Ock mech from, I want to say, that 2016 line. That was hands down the best one for me. Of the more recent ones, I really like the monster truck design as well. I strongly dislike the Bugles one personally. This one takes the original idea from 2004, but it swaps out the backpack pieces here. He uses that Outriders back brace piece, which means that the arms have a bit more simple movements. They move forward and backwards, and they can rotate on the joint itself rather than the connector. I'll explain more in a bit. The backpack doesn't actually rotate the arms around at all. The 2004 one had some weird balance issues, and even the later ones did as well. I really like the arms here with this. Underneath those arms you can see that he's got some really cool back printing and a double-sided face with an angered expression, a lot more in line with his traditional self. The hair needs changing, but the facial expressions look pretty solid. Here he is to his past self, and here's me demonstrating the movements of the arms back brace compared to the modern day one. I can see that there are some visual improvements, but he really needs a bit more modifying. And here is a very exciting remake. This is the Willem Dafoe Green Goblin figure. This is a remake that really won't suit a lot of people who want a traditional Green Goblin if they missed the first one, but that's not really the fault of LEGO here. He's included with some pumpkin bombs, which I wish were a special piece instead, because the minifigure head just makes it look gigantic. In the movie they're actually quite small. And thankfully he includes a buildable glider. Glider is up first, and it's one of my favorite inclusions. The glider in Raimi's movies is quite skinny, but also sharp. It has a unique curved design. This one is a little bit thicker, but it's still thinner in its design as well compared to other LEGO gliders that LEGO have made. It kind of feels a bit more in line with New Goblin's snowboard. The purple part should be a little bit higher up for some accuracy points, but you could easily modify that yourself, I think. It's a cool inclusion. I really do like how sleek it is, and I will be changing a few things around. He features a really great torso with some details of that purple hood. I really wish the hood was actually included as a piece though. I don't like LEGO's indecisiveness on what stays as prints and what can get a piece or not. That hood piece exists, we've had it for years now, so there's no reason why it shouldn't be here. He also features no leg printing. This might be the worst offending figure for this. No printing on Goblin feels very cheap. Electro uses such an old crappy piece. Goblin needed something here. His expressions are top quality though. Glasses, light smile, slicked hair, really good usage here. His alternate expression is a manic smile. I'm very satisfied with that likeness. Here he is compared to his past self. It is crazy to see how those colours have pretty much remained the exact same. Old Goblin featured yellow flesh tone though, and the new one features all of the new modernism designs, so let's swap a few things around and make a really good Goblin figure. This figure for me looks incredible. Simple head swap, and now it's the modern head on the old body. Some LEGO minifigures just still look great today. Assembly is required to make a really good looking scene. Thankfully it does have a good amount of options that make this set worthwhile. I am a big fan of ensemble pieces like this. My video about upgrading the Daily Bugle was at the time one of our most popular videos on this channel, because people I think really love seeing large collections of figures interacting and large displays come together. You can place the flying characters on their clear flight poles. Dark Art can attach onto the side here. I put Zendaya in the rubber webbing near the wall, and the wizards are up by the top of the portal. So let's go over some of those missing parts here. It's just two. Again, LEGO have really shafted us on a lizard absence. I have my issues with how Lizard and Sandman were handled in the movie personally, but their absence here is alarming. I do think that including Ned and MJ makes total sense. While I am dissatisfied with their figures here, I don't think that they should have been swapped out for Lizard and Sandman. More so, I actually wish that Lizard and Sandman were just included in the set and the price was increased by $10 or $15. The rumor mill started rolling out the day the set released, and apparently the rumor is that sometime soon we may or may not be getting a Sandman and Lizard included in another No Way Home set, so I guess that's just going to have to become a must-buy then. But what I want to see next are sets based on both the Raimi and the Garfield movies. The MCU Spider-Man sets were pretty cool honestly, and I would like to see some retrospective sets on those movies missed, even if it's just one set per movie, or one set per franchise. Of course licensing is really weird around those movies, so you know, I'm not going to be mad or angry that LEGO haven't made anything yet. It's just quite high on my wish list. The LEGO Spider-Man No Way Home final battle is a bit of a mixed bag. It's got a really good solid idea and the foundations are neat. The build is executed in a way that does make it feel a bit more worthwhile than other sets, but the lack of features and rather fragile design kinda holds it back for me. However, it's the minifigures that are the worst offender of the set here. What could have saved the set overall actually brings it down further. For every just decent enough minifigure included, there is an annoyingly lazy addition that follows suit, and the decent figures are just that. Decent. They all lack printing or accuracy details. What this set feels like to me is a really great set that releases a month or so out from a movie's release that was made entirely in secrecy based around concept art. What it doesn't feel like is a worthwhile set that was given full access to spoilers and designs years after the movie's release. This feels like a lazy contribution to capitalize on the one thing that Spider-Man movie fans were really asking for the past 2 years. With all that in mind, I'm disappointed. Thank you for watching this video. If you agreed or disagreed with whatever I had to say, hit us up in the comments down below. Liking and subscribing does help to support this channel's ventures into making more videos like this. Ka kite anō. I hope to see you in the next video.